Hello, hello. I am Pat626, and it's time for another episode of Professional Fanby. I am a DJ. I host a couple of different shows featuring goth, industrial, darkwave, death rock, EBM, synth pop, and post-punk here on Twitch. And this is a chance for me to really do a deep dive of a recent album. Get into it, discuss what I like about it, give you my opinion on it, and overanalyze the heck out of it because, you know, I never stopped being an English major, I guess. So, this week, we're going to be going over the self-titled release from The Burying Kind. So a little history before I start playing the album. This album is kind of came about, it's honestly probably all Ken Magerman's fault. So I first discovered members of the band The Burying Kind in other bands. I knew Scott David Allen from A Covenant of Thorns, which was just some absolutely fantastic synth pop mostly. And then Dan Milligan of The Joy Thieves I considered his music to be a lot more like industrial and things like that. So I was really impressed when Milligan did a remix of A Covenant of Thorns' Dahlia on a compilation that Ken Magerman of Amaranth and Sounds and Shadows put together. And so then I got all giddy. I got all giddy when I found out that they were going to make an album together. And so I kind of expected it to be, you know, kind of industrial and synth poppy and that sort of thing. And, well, let me tell you something, folks. My expectations were shit. Like, this is not what I was expecting. And I'm not complaining. Just really out of left field. That I remember when jumping into this album, that guitar tonality, I'm like, wait, did I put the right? Did I press play on the right thing? Because this is some fantastic goth and post-punk. Like, this sounds to me like the type of music that Joy Division might be making nowadays if Ian Curtis hadn't killed himself. And that is high praise, let me just say. And then when the harmonies kick in the chorus, like, it then becomes its own thing. It becomes, because this is a type of harmony that I think is missing in a lot of post-punk these days. It's bright, but it doesn't get rid of any of the melancholy and the low tones of the voice. And that fits because Falling Over is obviously a very melancholy song. It's about the dissolution of a relationship, it seems. And I really like what happens with the lyrics here because it seems like there's a lot of metaphor for darkness as, you know, like sunsetting as being a sign of something bad. And that's going to permeate the whole EP. But the narrator is also, you know, just saying, hey, well, with all of this going on, I lost all hope that you cared. I just want to know that you care. I want to know that you're there. And it seems like a very simple thing to ask for it. It doesn't seem like it's like they're asking too much. That, you know, like, hey, with all of this happening, can you show me you care about me? And it just seems to be completely blown away. The rug has been pulled out from under him by this sudden loss, this sudden failure, a sudden danger appearing, and the relationship is falling over. But give a close listen during this expertly constructed breakdown here, because this is what I call a little twist. It's just 2 lines. It's the weight on your shoulders, breaking your bones. And all of a sudden you kind of realize that, is this so sudden? Because we haven't at this point ever thought about, well, what does the lover feel about this? And so there's this concept of the unreliable narrator, where a narrator is telling you something, and we just kind of believe that narrators in stories and songs are telling the truth at all times. But just that moment of learning about the pressure, is the lover under a whole lot of pressure because of the constant, need of validation? Hey, do you care? Hey, do you care? Do you care? I really don't think that you care anymore. I just need to know that you care. And there's a lot of pressure trying to hold up the feelings of someone who's dealing with chronic depression. And so you kind of get this idea that there's a twist in there, that it's not as sudden as he's making it out to be. And that's something pretty darn impressive. It's a nice reversal on the traditional breakup song, and something that I really like to see in music. And so the next track kind of gets us into more of the recognizing things falling apart. So there's kind of this idea that calmly waiting for the fall. All right. First of all, actually, before I get too deep in that, can I just say, with that opening guitar line, that we've got classic melancholy goth rock at its best, but calmly waiting for the fall is contrasted with the idea that the lies we tell to steal ourselves. There's this feeling of inevitability and self-fulfilling prophecies that's going in this, which I can unfortunately relate to. Because, the people involved, they're only calm because they're lying to themselves. And that's not good, because maybe they need to be a little more upset about what's happening. If you lie to yourself and you say that no, this is all going to be fine, and then it's not fine, because you're also getting this feeling of just going around in circles. You're doing the same thing over and over again, and the lines begin to blur a little bit between what you've done and what you haven't done, what's happened and what hasn't happened yet, and you're not doing anything to really stop it except for pushing back against the air. Almost gives me the idea of tilting windmills, Don Quixote style, not dealing with the stuff that's there, but then pushing into the stuff that isn't. And of course, when you're standing really near the edge, pushing against the air is gonna tip you over. And they talk about twisting closer to the edge. So just one more time at any cost, I feel maybe this isn't the actions you should be doing. There's no backing away from the edge. There's just going forward. There's no considering what's going on. There's just going forward. And that key change right there just really drives home just the almost hopelessness. You can feel the frustration in the voice there, because it's probably recognizing, we're fucking doomed, and we're not even doing anything to stop it. And that is a heartbreaking realization. And this is not anything new to goth music, discussing this sort of things, but I do like how just like in the first song, just like in Falling Over, there seems to be a feeling of self-inflicted wounds here. Like bringing about your own pain, which is definitely not something you want to feel. So this next song, this is, in my opinion, the most like densely packed song on the entire EP. So we're actually going to listen to it twice because there's two different reads that you can get into this song. So like you can tell from the use of the musical key how it sounds kind of foreboding, and just a lot of the subtle hints in the music and in the lyrics kind of give two different interpretations. So because I'm like this, I'm gonna talk about two different reads from it. So the first one is the pessimistic read, because you've got the idea of all I ever wanted from you was everything. And that kind of harkens back again to Falling Over, talking about tremendous pressure. You know, like if you read it in this way, there's a dismissal of how demanding the narrator is being towards his lover. Oh, all I ever wanted for you was everything, you know? And the idea that I look to your embrace to lift me up despite the circumstance. Like, in this read, it sounds almost like an unreasonable demand. Like, hey, no, listen, I know that everything's gone to shit, but could you make me feel better? You know, like the imagery suggests that things are getting bad, even ending. And yet the narrator wishes to be lifted up higher than the sun will rise. Like, and let's face it, that's not something that you really want someone to be asking of you. It almost seems one-sided in this particular read. And when I first heard it, that's kind of what I got out of it. Especially since as triumphant as this chorus sounds, we'll get back to that in a second, don't worry. It ends with the spooky, foreboding tone down at the very end. There's that rise, and then it drops, and once again leaves us with all I ever wanted was everything. And that's, man. So listening to it again, though, now let's look at it from the positive side. And this, I really like. I need to really dig in deep to some of the minutiae of the lyrics here. What is everything, actually? What does the narrator define as everything? A stolen moment lost in your eyes, just looking at you. To sit with you and watch the daylight fade, looking for shapes and clouds in the sky. It's just these small acts of companionship are everything to the narrator. And so, like, no matter how dire circumstances get, a simple embrace is going to lift him up higher than the sun will rise. And just notice, like, how right here the tone gets, like, calmer, and it's like a breath is happening. And then just that rise. At the end of all of this hardship, there's this feeling of togetherness that's going to result in victory. So then the past tense here is really important. You know how I miss the way we laughed. We never let them tell us apart. So I feel like this is a conversation that's happening. Like they've gotten together after they've been apart for a while. You know, they both know that he's missed this person. He's missed laughing with his lover. And there's this feeling of indestructibility that they both share together. And he wants to pull them close in again. Like there's this acknowledgement that being apart has not fixed anything. And perhaps being together again will give them that feeling back. So you really do get, you can pull either read from this. And the voice that's missing, of course, that would kind of fix it is we don't get the lover's perspective. And knowing how the lover responds to this would ultimately determine whether this is something, like very positive or something very negative. And I like that ambiguity that's left there, because we are only ever getting one person's feeling this. So kind of going back to the unreliable narrator, when you're only getting one side of the story, you don't know everything, and you kind of have to just pick it apart the best you can. And I love just how much meat that you can get out of that song. Like, again, I had to play it twice just to go over it, because that was a 3-minute song. How dare you drop like just all of that in 3 minutes? 3, that's it. How rude. Oh, give me time to review the whole thing, jeez. So after that, though, I feel like there's a progression of mood, which makes it very easy to kind of view this all as like one story. And that's a risk that you take when you listen to albums. And I can't say for certain, but I definitely feel like there's still a progression of mood in this music here. How we've gone from very like dark at the beginning, and now we're starting to get a bit lighter here. And I've spent a lot of time focusing on the lyrics in this song or in this album, but my favorite part of this track is music. That opening guitar tone, and this something you're going to hear as the song goes on. It kind of sounds like William Faith joining a Cocteau Twins cover band. And if I didn't know better, I would say that they got The Cure's Boris Williams for drums. And I realize that saying that, I'm not just saying that, okay, it sounds like all these things, but like the influences are there, and they are executed in a breathtaking way. Like, I can hear an argument for this song being a bit saccharine. Maybe, but don't let that prevent you from listening closely, because you can catch a lot of incidental sips punctuating the spaces between the vocals. Like every time that the main vocals kind of stop, there's usually a little synth interlude in there. And then especially when we get to the second chorus, or the second pre-chorus, there's like this build, this very just slight synthetic horn, it sounds like, maybe even a real horn, I don't know how music works, but these little pieces just filling it in, and that's neat. That's a level of complication in something that overall just kind of sounds like a goth pop song. So to take that much care with it, that's next level musicianship there. So a lot of this album it has dealt with dark and light, and you're still seeing a lot of that in this. But I really want to focus on just a couple lines in the chorus, because most of this is like typical lyrics for relaxation and love. Like that line there, if it ever gets too dark, just open up your eyes. Alright, so I talked about darkness as a theme in this album for things being difficult. But if you also think about how a lot of the wounds in this EP seem to be self-inflicted, the idea of if it ever gets too dark, just open up your eyes is a huge realization of like, yeah, if you're closing your eyes and kind of breathing and relaxing, that's good. But if your eyes stay constantly closed, then it's always going to feel dark. Now, if it ever gets too dark, just open up your mind, because all around us are horizons. not edges that we can fall over, but sunsets that we can fly into. And that's something that, being locked in a spiral of chronic depression makes it difficult to recognize. So I really like that. It's like it's recognizing the self-fulfilling prophecies that we've been dealing with here, and then going, hey, but we can get past this. We can get better. This isn't, in my opinion, the first real hopeful spot in the album, but it's not the only one. But it's and with that string building in, like, this sounds like something that belongs in the trailer for a feel-good movie. Like probably like two people running towards each other in the rain or something. I'd watch it. I would. But so, and don't take it wrong when I say that, in my opinion, is actually my least favorite song on the album, because, when you write an EP full of nothing but bangers, even the least favorite song is still going to be like, it's still incredible. It's just, I think the problem is that it's sandwiched in between my two favorite songs on the album. You've got the song So Nice, I analyzed it twice, and then you've got Dusk. And it's hard to tell, but this is actually the other hopeful song on the album. And that's it's hard to tell because, again, the word that I keep returning to is melancholy, and that's definitely there. This is a very slow track, just kind of slowly moving us through. It's taking its time. The guitar is taking its time. The drums are taking its time. The vocals just barely coming out, like where a lot of this has been thrustful in its presentation, like this is almost to this and that side of silence. And it's deliberately slow, one, so that it'll sink in, but two, just kind of recognizing, in my opinion, giving us a musical metaphor for the only way to successfully combat chronic depression. Like, all right, so when the storm comes in, stand and breathe in. And it's just very slow. That's why we've been just kind of creeping along here, because it's just this feeling of it all just beating down around you, and you're just kind of breathing in and then stand and breathe out. Yes, it's dusk. Yes, darkness is falling again, because you're never completely rid of it. But in the end, if you just breathe and take your time through it, home will be waiting. And it makes me remember something that I kind of discussed once with my therapist, of all people. Chronic depression is like a siege. It's not a battle. You don't just like find your hope again and then woo, yeah, all right, I'm great. No, instead it's kind of constantly beating at your doorstep. Sometimes cutting off your motivation or your ability to do anything, and just like a siege in a castle, like, cutting off your access to supplies, poisoning your water, and so the best you can do sometimes is just outlast it. And this music is very much that, just that feeling of just time kind of slowing around you as you're trying to get through. Like this is not a bop. This is not like a lot of the album, just like powerful goth rock. This music is a dilapidated, unstained, rotting porch that you stand on in the dark smoking cigarettes because you can't figure out what else to do. Barely noticing that it's gotten darker and darker. And then just suddenly being surprised when it starts getting lighter again. And you stay up until 6 a.m. outside because you just weren't paying attention. And just recognizing that that's what's going to be like sometimes, that you just have to deal with it. But the thing I think that gets me most of all is that most of this song is that feeling of just like trudging. And you almost feel like, all right, is there actually anything that's going to work, that's going to make me feel better? Am I ever going to feel better? And yes, the song does give us a payoff. It's been building this whole time. And in my opinion, it has, my personal favorite payoff of the entire album. And that's at the end of this chorus, like, that we're going somewhere when the chorus gets repeated again, because Milligan and Allen have been using some of those great techniques, like the key changes as well. Like there's just expert crafted stuff, so that they're setting you up for something. And what do they set you up with? In my opinion, one of the best ways to kind of finish a song, the saxophone. Now, this is not a new thing. In fact, some people comment like, whoa, saxophone in goth music? And obviously those people have not been paying attention. Because saxophone often gets used in goth music and industrial music as a way to jive up the song even further, like this guy is jiving here. But that, like in Sisters of Mercy, Dominion Mother Russia, or Grendel does it too. But this isn't a jive. No, this is more of like the sexy sax man. This is like Careless Whisper level of saxophone. But whereas Careless Whisper is bringing a tear to our eye because, oh man, I fucked up. This is a nurturing, loving tone at the end here. Just kind of wrapping its arms around us. And like, yeah, you made it. You're still making it. Yeah. You're in Dusk right now, but it's okay. Just breathe. I got you. And they never say it. They never say anything else. They just leave it with that. And in my opinion, that's a fantastic way to end an EP that has been just sad and hopeful, and just the whole run of the trouble of depression and being in a relationship when depression rears its ugly head. There's not this feeling like everything's better now, but there's this feeling that we're gonna be okay. And that is, in my opinion, like, that's an accomplishment, and the Burying Kind should be absolutely 100% totally proud of themselves.